Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. So for this video, I'm going to be doing part 2 of the June 2021 paper 2 for social studies. Part 1 is already on the channel. I'm going to put the link in the description below, and I'm going to also put a link to my other YouTube channel, that's Corey Fences on YouTube. I want you guys to go over there and subscribe and also watch the videos, right? So this is part 2 for the 2021 June Social Studies paper 2. All right, so we will be looking at the regional integration question and also the option section. All right, so right here now, it says write an essay on the topic regional integration, challenges and possibilities. Essay writing in social studies is different from essay writing in English language. For social studies, you don't need a thesis statement, you don't need any introduction, you don't need any conclusion. You are to only answer what you are being asked. Don't skip a line. I usually inform my students not to skip a line, but I don't think it's a big deal if you skip a line. Just indent for each part of the question that you will be answering. So the first part says define regional integration. So regional integration involves the unification of a number of nation states into a larger whole. The degree to which the separate states are willing to share and unify indicates the degree of integration. Then you indent and go on to the next part of the question. It says, give 2 examples of regional institutions that have advanced the integration movement. 2 examples of regional institutions that have advanced the integration movement are the University of the West Indies, having about 3 campuses throughout the region, and also the Caribbean Examination Council that administers a common exam paper to all member states in the region. Good. Next part of the question now says, outline any 2 factors that can hinder regional integration. All right, so we are going to look at the factors now hindering regional integration. All right, one factor hindering regional integration is geography. So the region consists largely of small island states, right? And so some aspects of integration, such as movement of labor, goods and services, are more difficult since an effective transportation infrastructure is needed. Distribution of power and connection to high-speed broadband networks are both keys to economic growth, and both rely on physical links, between the islands, such as submarine cables, which are expensive to provide, right? Another factor that may hinder regional integration is competition. Countries within the region are in competition with one another when an industry is looking for a new location. The same goods, such as bananas, or services such as tourism, are being offered. So there is a lack of diversification, and that is a barrier because it creates competition. Good. Another barrier is absence of a common currency. It is thought that a common currency in the region would bring a number of benefits, such as including reduced transaction cost of intra-regional trade, investments and remittances, increased price transparency, reduced uncertainty in exchange rates, enhanced efficiency of financial markets, and greater sense of regional identity. These benefits would in turn lead to more investment, greater trade, better prices for goods and services, and easier movement of people, both for commerce and tourism. So since there is no common currency, then the region cannot experience these good things if we had a common currency. Next part of the question now says, explain 3 actions that companies can take to deepen regional integration. So pay attention to this one closely. It is asking, what do you think companies, that businesses, can do to deepen regional integration? All right. One of the things that, and also the next part asks you to explain how each action is likely to be successful. So you're going to state your action, then justify it. One of the things that businesses can do to deepen regional integration is whenever they are looking for employees, they should give regional citizens the first preference. This is likely to be successful because if they give regional citizens the first preference to be employed, it is going to reduce unemployment and also reduce underemployment. And then citizens will get that sense that regional integration is a good thing and it is benefiting them because they can get jobs instead of companies going overseas to employ somebody where persons in the region also have that kind of qualification. Good. Another thing that companies can do is diversification or diversifying the goods that they offer, because several countries in the region have similar past, right? We tend to have similar taste, we have similar products, so it's very competitive out there in the regional market. So companies must look to diversify their offering in terms of goods. The third one now, I'm going to allow you to come up with that one on your own, and you can type it in the comment section and I will tell you if it is correct. I nearly said makes sense, but I will tell you if it is correct. Remember what businesses can do to deepen regional integration, and I've given you 2 solid points. So for the option section now on the paper 2, you'll be given 3 questions in which you are going to choose one. So you'll be given a question on communication, one on consumer affairs, and one on tourism. So you are going to look at all 3 and decide which one you're going to do. I usually encourage my students to answer the question on tourism because that is usually the easiest one, right? But if you feel like you have been well prepared for communication or well prepared for consumer affairs, I say go ahead and choose the question that you are most comfortable with and know that you have the most information to answer the questions properly where you can get full marks, right? All right. So communication, copyright, protecting the work of artists. You have been asked to address a group of artists on the topic above. Write the speech you would make to the group. In your address, define the term plagiarism, state 2 types of creative work that may be copyright protected, outline 2 ways in which artists benefit from the implementation of copyright laws, suggest 3 strategies that the Ministry of Culture in your country may use to encourage artists to promote local culture in their work, and explain why each strategy suggested is likely to be successful. All right, so the first part of the question says you are to define the term plagiarism. All right, you can simply use a textbook, use Google, use a dictionary, and find a definition for the term plagiarism, right? Plagiarism is where one person tries to pass off another person's creative work as theirs. So somebody write a song, they write a poem, they write a book, something like that, and somebody else takes it and say that it is their work. Even sometimes when you're doing your research or you're writing your essays, your teachers will encourage you not to plagiarize. So do not take people's words and present it as your own. If you are using somebody's words, you should give them credit for it and do not let it seem as if it is your words. Next part of the question says, state 2 types of creative work that may be copyright protected. All right, so creative work that may be copyright protected are literary works, musical works, or artistic works. These can be copyright protected. Next part now says outline 2 ways in which artists benefit from the implementation of copyright laws, right? They benefit from copyright laws by getting payment in the form of royalties from persons who they have authorized to use their work, right? they also have the privilege, or they have the ability, or they have the option, depending on how you look at it, for suing any person who carry out any of the sorry, they have the ability to sue anybody who reproduce their work without their permission, right? So they make money if persons use their work, and they can sue if persons use their work without their permission. So those are two of the benefits from copyright laws to artists. Next part of the question says, suggest 3 strategies that the Ministry of Culture in your country may use to encourage artists to promote local culture. All right, so what can the Ministry of Culture in your country do to encourage artists to promote local culture in their work? One of the things that they can do is have a song competition, and in the rules or the outline, right, they can say that the song must be promoting local culture. So that will get the artists involved, and they have a cash prize at the end. So the artists, being creative already, they will get involved trying to win that money and create songs that promote local culture. Another strategy that the Ministry of Culture in your country could use to encourage artists to promote local culture in their work is to make artists cultural ambassadors. So when they have been made cultural ambassadors, anywhere they go, they are going to promote the work. And this is me justifying. Remember, when you give a strategy, you should justify it. So you're going to explain why each strategy suggested is likely to be successful. All right. So if they make them cultural ambassadors, anywhere they go, they are going to promote the local culture. So in turn, the Ministry of Culture is going to benefit, because anywhere the artists go, they are going to promote the local culture. All right. So the third one now, you are going to come up with that one on your own, because I've given 2 solid points again. You might be wondering and say, why, sir, don't give us all 3? But no, I don't want to give you all 3, because I cannot think for you in the exam. I want you to start using up your brain cells. Come on, put on your thinking cap and start to think for yourself, because I want you to ace this exam. Okay? All right, so that's it for communication. Let's go now to consumer affairs. So it says the value of thrift. Good. So define the term thrift, outline 2 benefits to the individual of practicing thrift, distinguish between consumer of goods and consumer of credit, suggest 3 actions consumers may take to demonstrate thrift, and explain how each action suggested is likely to contribute to the sustainable development of the Caribbean region. All right, so this last justification is a bit tricky. I want you to pay close attention. It says, suggest 3 actions consumers may take to demonstrate thrift, right? And then now you have to say how the action suggested is likely to contribute to sustainable development of the Caribbean region. So it's more than a justification. No, the justification must be specific to the sustainable development of the Caribbean region. So this is serious business now. So what is thrift? Thrift is the quality of using money and other resources carefully and not wastefully. So just thrift is simply not wasting your money, but spending it wisely or using it wisely. All right, outline 2 benefits of thrift. Adopting thrifty patterns of behavior benefits individuals because they will limit their spending. So that is going to help them to cut out waste. Another benefit is that thrift, because they are spending carefully, it is going to increase their saving potential, because they will in turn save money from waste. All right. Next part says distinguish between consumers of goods and consumers of credit. That now I want you to state in the chat. What are consumers of, what is consumer of goods? What is consumers of credit? And you know, when we're distinguishing, we use the word while, or we can use the term on the other hand. When we are distinguishing, don't use and to join both definitions because that is not distinguishing, that would be defining. And this part of the question clearly asks you to distinguish. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, next part now of the question says, such as 3 actions consumers may take to demonstrate thrift. What do you think consumers can do to demonstrate thrift? And then now you are going to say how this is likely to contribute to sustainable development of the Caribbean region. One way in which consumer may demonstrate thrift is budgeting. In order to use disposable income wisely and well, consumers need to prepare a budget. Good, a budget is an estimate of income and expenditure over a given period of time. Then how is this likely to contribute to sustainable development of the region? Budget shows all your income and your expenses. So wherever there is waste, you can eliminate that. Save money. When you save money, then persons are highly unlikely to slip below the poverty line where they have to develop on government sources, right? Like social services. So the less people depend on social services is the more money that the government will have to provide other services, things like infrastructure, right? Or to give other persons instead of making those persons like turn to a life of crime or something like that. Another way that consumer can demonstrate thrift is to shop wisely for goods and services. So good shopping also will help the consumer to get the maximum benefit from their money. So they can distinguish between their needs and wants and satisfy the needs and put wants one side or once in a while. Good. So good consumers should compare prices and qualities between stores and between substitute goods to see what is cheaper, and not necessarily what is cheaper, because sometimes what is cheaper is not the best quality. So you're looking for good quality at the best price. How will this contribute to sustainable development of the region, right? Again, no waste, right? And when you start cutting out waste, it means then that you will have more money for savings. So if certain things come up in your life unexpectedly, you will be able to take care of it instead of becoming a burden on people or on the state. Good. Another way in which someone can demonstrate thrift is using and caring for possessions well. So this part of a customer's responsibilities, this is a part of a customer's responsibility, right? Items should only be used for the purpose for which they are intended and in the manner recommended by a manufacturer. Guarantees and warranties are usually void if a customer has an item in any other way, an item in any other way. What this is simply saying is that whatever purpose you purchase an item for, use it for that purpose and take care of it. The better you take care of the item, is the less likely it is going to be destroyed, or you will have more shelf life out of it, right? Because some of these products, that are bought, when they are destroyed or they get damaged, right? Sometimes they are not even disposed of properly. Good, and that will derail sustainable development because that can cause land pollution. Sometimes they are thrown in water bodies, contribute to water pollution, which is going to hinder sustainable development as well. Because when waterways are blocked, it contributes to flooding, marine life is affected, and so on. Good. So I've given you 3 actions and also the justification. Now we are going to turn over to tourism, right? And this is usually the easiest question. So it says, write an essay on the topic. In your essay, define the term tourist. Describe 3 negative impacts that the tourism industry can have on the physical and sociocultural environments of the region, right? Good. So there's 3 actions that businesses and government authorities may take to lessen the 3 impacts described. Then explain how each action suggested is likely to be successful. So one, define the term tourist. A tourist is a person who goes to a destination other than their home to stay for more than 24 hours, but less than a year for leisure, business, or pleasure. That's what a tourist is. Next part says, describe 3 negative impacts that the tourism industry can have on the physical or the socio-cultural impact. Sorry, socio-cultural environments of the region. So one negative is that sometimes rare species of flora and fauna are removed by tourists. Removal of trees to create nature trails, which may lead to soil erosion, right? There's also removal of land from agricultural use can disrupt ecosystems. Possibility that heavy use of chemicals in preparation and maintenance of golf courses pollute soil and water supply. Good. Hotel construction, this is the third one. Too close to beaches and on wetlands can increase risk of beach erosion and loss of natural flood defenses, right? So the next part now says, suggest 3 actions that businesses and government authorities may take to lessen the 3 impacts described. Again, pay close attention to what this is asking because this seems to be the most difficult part of this question. So the actions that you suggested or that I suggested a while ago, we are to suggest 3 actions that businesses and government authorities may take to lessen the 3 impacts. So one impact, rare species of flora and fauna removed by tourists. What can businesses and the government do? Right? Government can implement legislature, right? And then the businesses now can enforce this. So if tourists remove species of flora and fauna without permission, then there's a penalty. More than likely, don't make it be a prison sentence because that is going to deter tourists from coming because I'm justifying no. Good. So like a fee, this is likely to be successful because tourists won't want to spend that extra money, right? So they will not remove the flora and fauna. Next one now, removal of land from agricultural use, right? What they can do is make some negotiation with farmers, right? So some land should be dedicated to agricultural purposes and not to the tourist industry to destroy the vegetation to create a hotel. They could encourage some of these persons who are interested in setting up tourism business to go into ecotourism, which deals with the natural environment. So most of the environment is usually untouched because we know that some of the countries depend on tourism. So we can't have all the land, though some persons might disagree with me, but we can't have all the land to say, oh, let it remain for agricultural purposes. But promote ecotourism where most of the vegetation will be left untouched. This is likely to be successful because ecotourism is a booming business, and then most of the vegetation will be protected if it's an tourism destination, right? Hotel construction too close to beaches and wetlands can increase risk of beach erosion and loss of natural flood defenses. All right, so the government can set up a monitoring committee with government members and also members from like the tourist board or members from the tourism community, right? To give approval to where hotels can be built. So environmentalists will do their study and see if it is feasible or not. If they get the go ahead during construction, the monitoring committee still monitors to ensure that wetlands are left undisturbed and beaches are not polluted. This is likely to be successful because if there's a breach, then the committee reports on it, then stop the construction or cause the persons building that hotel to pay some fine. All right. So if you have any other suggestions, you can always leave them in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Have a good school period, right? Yes. Enjoy school, ladies and gentlemen.